All right. No, wait. Sorry.
Bring the GoPro. Bring the GoPro.
Let's figure this out.
I've been working with elephants for 3 years now, and I can recognize Jada from over 100 meters away. Both ears have V-shaped marks, and she has ear notches. And she has very good tusks. Even if you look at the tusks, they're so beautiful. She was in the dam alone without any of her calves, and she had this dripping wet side from the shoulder. And I realized that she was injured, so I called in the veterinary, and we realized that actually she had 3 bullets on her side. Elephants live in families, and a family is led by a matriarch. All the big matriarchs have been eliminated by poaching, simply because they have these thick tusks. And you know, the thicker the tusk, the valuable it is. The little elephant that takes over as the matriarch, she's really not experienced on how to protect the family. This leaves the family vulnerable to predators like lions.
This is our mega herbivore exclusion plot. We'll compare the ecological dynamics out here in what we call the control plot with what's happening in here, where elephants are excluded. Elephants are kind of this keystone node in the interaction web, and if you remove them, then you're really changing the entire fabric of the web. The savanna would close in a lot. You'd have a lot lower visibility, you'd have a lot more trees and a lot less grass. This acacia mellifera is really nasty. It has these short, recurved thorns that catch onto you like a fishhook. There are stories of sheep actually getting caught in this plant and dying because they can't free themselves and they overheat and dehydrate. Historically, ranchers and other landowners have seen elephants as a threat because they raid crops and they can threaten humans. But in various ways, elephants may be doing things that actually benefit landowners. This is the seedling of the Sodom apple. And this is an invasive plant that is toxic to humans and toxic to cattle, but elephants love it, they eat it up. If you're raising cattle and other livestock for a living, you don't want your pasture covered in nasty plants like this. You want all this nice green grass.
Mpala is a safe haven for elephants because security here is much better as preferred to other places. Poaching rates are very high in surrounding areas, so when elephants come into Mpala, we measure their stress levels by looking at their reaction index. The reaction index, we code them into 4. We have 1 for the totally calm when approached by the vehicle to 20 meters. Then number 2 is initially skittish to the vehicle approach. Number 3 is frightened and avoiding vehicle. And then number 4 is terrified and running. So you see, like if you have elephants and most of the time they are in reaction index 3 and 4, that tells you there's a problem. We're trying to develop a catalog, both online and on our database. We also collaborate with the people in the community. When there's a dead elephant, they make a call to us and tell us that there's a carcass here. And we rush there and see. We receive elephants that are coming from different places and we treat them. We treated Jada. She's okay now. She's back with the family, raising her young ones, raising her daughters, raising her granddaughter at the moment. I named the granddaughter Katie. Poaching is what we are really trying to fight at the moment. Education, takes a while. So it's something that maybe it will happen in the generation to come. If you educate this generation so that they pass it over to the next generation, and that helps protect elephants in the future.
All right. No, wait, sorry.
Bring the GoPro. Bring the GoPro. Let's figure this out.
I want to understand what is it about Grant's gazelle and different social classes, different types of Grant's gazelle that influence their risk of getting parasites and infectious diseases. Parasites that we study here that actually have an intermediate host that is a snail or a slug. And so the gazelle eat the snail or a slug, and they're the final host
Hey Cameron,
for
let's
that
go.
parasite. So
John's gonna drive us. All right, 1 second.
Parasites.
So, you were editing the film this morning?
Yeah, just the parasite sequence. It's actually really fascinating. Apparently the territorial males have a lot more parasites than the bachelors or the females.
So you want to make a film about gazelles?
Yeah, do you know anything about them?
I have a story about a young gazelle. Maybe I can tell you at lunchtime.
I'm always the last one.
I want to tell you a story about a gazelle, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. In a glade on the far side of Mount Kenya, a male grand gazelle was born into a royal family. They named him Lenana, which means the wise one. His father was king and had many, many queens. He had a happy life, but by the age of 2, his father had lost his crown. The new king banished all young males that might threaten him, and Lenana was no exception. At the time, he was too young and weak to challenge the new king, but he made a pact to avenge his father and take back the kingdom.
Hold on. This sounds just like Hamlet.
Hamlet? No, we don't have Hamlet in the bush. Anyway, alone and confused, Lenana wandered through the East African grassland in constant fear for his life. He avoided jackals who prey on young gazelles by day, and the large cats feared by even the strongest bucks at night. He was happy to feast on grass or bush, but because he had to remain on constant alert, he had little time to eat.
Wait, no, I know that story. It's Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Like when Luke crashes his ship on Dagobah and he's all wandering around looking for Yoda.
And which story do you think came first? Where was I? Lenana finally stumbled across a herd of rejected bachelors. They were youngsters, disgraced former kings, and weaker males who could never win a territory of their own. He could finally rest because he was in a larger herd where every member took turn keeping watch. Now, he could focus on reclaiming the kingdom. He took to sparring, learning from his elders and practicing with his peers. In time, he became quite skilled, and as his herds grew larger, so did his confidence.
No, it's not Star Wars, it's Top Gun.
Or The Last Samurai.
So basically, Lenana is just Tom Cruise.
Not exactly, but the time had come to put his skills to the test. At first, the king tried to intimidate our fearless buck. He stretched grandly and thrashed the bushes with his horns. The competition intensified as they sized each other up in a parallel walk, but Lenana was unfazed. This displays of dominance could no longer keep these two from clashing. They lowered their heads, locked horns, and battled for the kingdom and all its splendor. As you know, there could be only one victor, and Lenana had superior stamina. The defeated king took to the hills, while Lenana claimed his kingdom filled with green grass, many queens, and most importantly, the opportunity to mate at will.
Nice, a happy ending. We can definitely use this for our film.
Not so fast. With great power comes great responsibility. As king, Lenana had to mark his territory, fend off rivals, and watch for predators. He also had to sniff the urine of his females until he found one ready to mate. He would then initiate a mate march in hopes of mounting her. But as we know, not every march ends in a dance. In fact, he had little control over the females. They would often spar viciously with each other for no apparent reason, and their loyalty was not to the king but to the place with the best food. Despite this, life was good at the top, because Lenana didn't suspect what the future had in store for him. You see, a long time ago, the gazelles were very greedy and took too much water. Other animals didn't get enough to drink and started dying out. The water god noticed this and decided to punish the gazelles. From then on, the gazelles were banished from the water holes and forced to get water from the food they eat. But the water god didn't stop there. He put a curse on every male gazelle that whomever became king would grow weak and vulnerable. Lenana suffered this fate, losing strength every day and narrowly escaping predators. Finally, one day he was cast out of his kingdom, like his father and the many kings before him, with no choice but to rejoin the bachelorhood. There, he spent the rest of his days wondering what had gone wrong, unaware of the curse that had robbed him of his crown. All things considered, living at the top wasn't so great. Lenana could not become king without suffering this terrible curse. A real catch-22.
John, that's not a myth at all. Yeah, the curse is the parasite. The parasite from the vegetation is what's weakening the king or territorial male. Right. It's amazing that they were able to tell all of this so long ago without the technology we have now.
Oh yeah, they were very observant.
Definitely.
Yeah, but even the scientists don't fully understand it. Like, why are the territorial males more infected than the females and the bachelors?
Yeah, Dr. Nzenro was saying that the territorial males might have higher stress or testosterone levels or are in closer contact with females.
Right, and she said the reinfection rate of grazing in the same area was higher as well.
Yeah.
But she was still working it out. Yeah. Anyway, John, this is an awesome story. Thank you so much. We're definitely using this in our film.
Yeah.
No worries. Let's go. It might be raining very soon.
All right. No, wait. Sorry.
Bring the GoPro! Bring the GoPro! Let's figure this out.
I think that it is very, very important to continue encouraging our governments and ourselves that the environment is every day. It's the air we breathe. It's the water we drink. It's the food we eat. And we can't live without these things.
Oh! My name is Adan Abdul Kamau. I go to school in Mpala in Laikipia County, and I am a member of Conservation Club.
There before, some years back, people, especially with the Maasai, hunt wildlife for their food. They take wildlife as their enemies. This generation now learned that they can even live with this wildlife, and they should also protect them. I have two boys who are in a Northern Kenya Conservation Club.
The conservation clubs are running in 10 schools after school. The goal is to raise students' awareness about the natural world around them and the need to conserve it. We have 2 Princeton interns who come out with me in the summer and go around to the clubs with me and help teach.
We introduce experiential learning to the curriculum, and so we're also adding in the environmental education component, so it's kind of like a mixture of trying to get students to go outside when they're learning and have hands-on experiences while learning about conserving the environment around them.
We teach the children as well as the teachers about experiential learning.
And many of you said that you've never seen a glacier or ice caps or snow. So today we're going to go outside and we're going to see what happens with ice. So suns often melts the tops of the glaciers, and there's water runoff that comes from the tops of glaciers.
Because he doesn't want his cows to get killed, right? And some people are putting poison on the carcass of the cow to try to kill the lion that killed that cow. Sawa? But they don't understand that what is happening, that poison not only kills the one lion, the hyenas eat it, the jackals eat it, and the vultures eat it. And that means that many animals will die.
It's helping these young kids to grow up knowing that the wildlife are important to them, and also how the environment should be kept safe.
There were so many teachers who were asking for support to continue their education that we are now supporting 4 teachers in their education.
When we have these kids coming to schools, they get to learn about what they need to know about the environment, about the ecology. So in future we hope that when they are grown-ups, they will be able to apply what they have learned in school into real action.
The first 2 years we ran the clubs, there were 4 clubs, and we ran a competition and selected the top 4 students, 1 in each club, for 2 years, a total of 8 students who are receiving secondary school scholarships. This Saturday is our big community conservation day. We bring all the students together at one school. Each club makes a presentation, and we also invite the community. So they make a presentation to the other clubs and the whole community. And the goal is to share with each other what they've been learning about conservation, and also to share it with the community.
You find that these kids, when they come home, you know, they meet the others who are at home. And so you see them seated somewhere, they try to explain or trying to tell us about what they learned in the conservation club. And also, when we parents have time, we also share time with them to try to know what is the conservation club doing and what are they learning.
I go home and tell my parents to conserve our environment.
I'll tell them not to kill wildlife, not to cut trees or destroy, and conserve water.
I want to be a teacher in future in order to enlighten the community about how to conserve the environment.
There were once hippos in the rivers. There were lions in the forest. There were many forests in our country. There There are oceans in our country. Please take care of the environment. Let us plant more trees in our country. Let us stop invading animals' territories. Let us stop poaching animals. Let us stop polluting soil and water. Let us stop cultivating water catchment areas. Conserve the environment for the present and future generation.
We will
conserve.
We will
Conserve.
Conserving is
key.
Conserving is
key.
We will
Conserve.
We will
Conserve.
Conserving is
key.
Conserving is
Key.
Alright. No, wait, sorry.
Bring the GoPro.
Bring the GoPro. Let's figure this out.
The mystery of what drives us to make connections with certain individuals and to associate with groups is one that has intrigued humankind for centuries. Yet perhaps clues lie with the other creatures on our planet. In Kenya, the county of Laikipia is one of the few regions in Africa with 2 zebra species. While at a distance they seem similar, the plains zebra and the Grevy's zebra are distinct in appearance and behavior. The tall, pointed ears of the plains are contrasted by the oval ears of the Grevy's. The wide stripes on the plains zebra cover its entire body, while the thinner stripes on the Grevy's stop short at the belly. The Grevy zebras are notably larger, though vastly fewer in number. But even zebras of the same species have unique stripe patterns, similar to individualized human fingerprints.
To find individuals such as Herbert, we use a program called Hotspotter, which involves adding images of the zebras that we take each day and putting it into the Hotspotter program and querying the pictures to see if it comes up in our database. For example, I just queried a picture that I think is Herbert, and all the results here show 007, which is Herbert's ID, so it is Herbert.
Once identified, the relationships and interactions between individuals can be analyzed in social network mapping. This social map is just one representation of the many social systems that are designed to ensure survival. In plains zebra society, multiple females form associations with one dominant male. In turn, the stallion provides protection against predators and other males, allowing females to graze safely and efficiently. In the Grevy's social system, however, the connections that females form are much more fluid. In a single day, a female Grevy may choose to graze and mate in multiple areas, patrolled by different territorial males.
The Grevy's make individual decisions, and so all the individuals are included in the Grevy network, not just the males. The territorial males are represented by red circles, just like the stallions, and this shows all the different females that are associated with each different territorial male. His territory has great vegetation and is right next to the safest drinking point.
Unfortunately, this society often forces the female Grevy to traverse the dangerous plains alone, making her more vulnerable. The greater the herd size, the greater the chance of detecting an encroaching predator before it's too late. And for any animal alone and unaware, the wild rarely gives second chances. Lions may be the most ferocious threat while drinking, but sometimes zebras are deterred by other, unexpected guests. Historically, the Grevy's and plains zebras inhabited primarily different landscapes, with small areas of overlap. Originally adapted to the semi-arid environment of northern Africa, competition with cattle herders forced the grevies farther south into Laikipia, a region dominated by plains zebras. Predation, loss of habitat, and competition for resources has left the grevies with a population of less than 2,000.
Grevy's zebras are an endangered species. They've been pushed out of the core area, their historical range, by competition with pastoral people and their herds. Their beautiful hides made them ripe for poaching, and numbers dropped precipitously. But even after the ban on selling the skins, the numbers have not come back. As the Grevy zebras come down and extend their range further south, certain pockets are found where the Grevy's is very, very rare and where the sex ratio gets skewed, where there's too many males and too few females. In that case, the males force matings on plain zebra females and hybrids are born. They have slightly wider stripes, they have the white belly, half of them have the Mickey Mouse ears, and the hybrids are reared in the society of plain zebras.
Recent conservation efforts have enclosed the endangered Grevy zebra in protected areas, where breeding and raising of foals can occur in a safe environment. The hope is that one day, these Grevies will be returned to their native habitats in northern Kenya.
Alright. No, wait, sorry.
Bring the GoPro! Bring the GoPro! Okay, let's figure this out.
There is a Maasai legend about 3 boys of long ago. As custom required, they were sent into the mountains for their adolescent rite of passage. But the boys were rebellious and their energy could not be contained, so they escaped into the night. Enraged, the elders cursed the boys, turning their skin into fur, twisting their limbs into legs, and banishing them to roam endlessly in the wild as a pack. Ever since, they have been known as the African wild dogs.
People hear the name African wild dog and assume that it's a domestic dog and has gone wild. That's not the case at all. These are animals which only live in the wild. In fact, they're not really closely related to any other species. They're in their own genus. Wild dogs are one of the most social animals in the world. It's very uncommon to see just one wild dog. Everything they do as a team. They hunt together, and by doing so they're able to kill prey that are much larger than themselves. I run a project called the Samburu Laikipia Wild Dog Project, where we are trying to understand whether and how African wild dogs can coexist with people and their domestic animals. Globally, the most important threat to wild dogs is loss of habitat. Because wild dogs range very widely and always live at low density, that means that as the habitat gets broken up, wild dogs are one of the first species to disappear. They formerly lived across vast swathes of Africa, but that habitat is getting fragmented. They've disappeared from 93% of the area they used to live in. Wild dogs don't seem to get rabies in the same way that domestic dogs do. So when African wild dogs get rabies, they can't stand up properly, they stagger around, and then they die. And for many of the world's wild dog populations, which are small, there is a serious risk of extinction due to infectious diseases like rabies. So we've done a variety of different kinds of research on this problem. What we do is, again, working very closely with Kenya Wildlife Service and their vets, we dart wild dogs and fit VHF tracking radio collars to them. We can use our radio receivers to then go and find them. Whenever we dart a wild dog, we want to learn as much as we possibly can from that experience. We're using GPS collars that will record everywhere that dog has been and give us very, very detailed information on where wild dogs are going. We also collect a variety of samples. So the most important samples we collect are blood samples. We can screen that blood for antibodies to diseases like canine distemper, parvovirus and rabies, and that tells us whether that dog has in its history been exposed to that virus. One day in Christmas 1999, I was just driving along and 3 wild dogs jumped out of a bush in front of my car. I knew then that there must be a source of wild dogs somewhere nearby and that perhaps there was some chance that they would come back. The first den of wild dogs in Laikipia was in the year 2000. And by about the year 2007, the population had grown large enough, there was about 30 packs of wild dogs and about 300 dogs in total. And that makes it the 6th biggest African wild dog population in the world, which has come back naturally from 0. When we started the project, we thought that it was going to be much more challenging than it was. But because of the way that the landscape is managed, because of the way the livestock are managed, here we've seen this incredible success story. And I think that provides inspiration. Not only do we know that it's possible, we know how it's possible. So we can provide guidance to communities, to governments, to NGOs, to other decision makers elsewhere in Africa on how to foster coexistence of people and wild dogs without them coming into conflict. And I think that is our biggest success on this project.
While the lost boys of Laikipia have returned home, their future remains at risk. But hopefully, those wild dogs will run free and in harmony with the people at last.
You ready? Yeah. Alright. So I'm ready. You ready?
Yes, hello. I want all your wild dog footage. No, I will not pay a fee. They're students.
Gazelles are kind of interesting. Who knew?
No.
Okay, fine. Alright, fine. I've learned how to be a lady.